Hey, what's up? Hello, Becky Duff here. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I am here to do a fun little reading. It's not really a challenge. How do I say this? Welcome to my reading vlog. I love to read. Hi, if you don't know me, my name's Becky. I'm a reader and I have always read pretty consistently. I've always read a lot. But of course, since discovering BookTube in 2019, I have started to read a lot more in a year, like doubling the amount that I would read in 1 year. So my biggest problem with reading that many books is that I go from book to book. I read a book, I go, wow, that was awesome, close it, put it to the side, and move into the next book right away, and then basically forget everything that I have read recently. And I've always been a little bit like that, but now it's twice as much as before, especially with doing a lot of audiobooks. As much as I try to keep the multiple books I have on the go separate, it doesn't help with my memory and really diving into a book and loving a book. So I was watching one of Katie Colson's videos where she is reading, I think it's Heartless or something. It's her Reading Around the World book that she picked up, and it is a very steamy, sexy cowboy romance that takes place in Calgary, Alberta. And she put out 2 vlogs now reading the first and the second book of this. And she was just showing so much passion for how much she was just loving this book. And she's like that in all of her videos. I love how much emotion and passion Katie shows, whether she's loving a book or hating a book. She's just telling you all of her thoughts and her feelings and putting her whole self into it, it feels like. I started following Katie and watching her vlogs after she was on Kayla's Literally Dead book club as one of the co-hosts, and I just loved her energy. I can't even remember what the book was. I think it was the Confessions book, actually. And I just loved her energy so much. I checked out her videos and became a subscriber. So as I was watching her cowboy romance vlog, I was like, I need to do a video reading like Katie Colson and just drumming up all of the passion and energy that Katie has when doing her reading vlogs. I also want to make it clear that this is not about trying to be somebody that you are not. Like I said, I subscribed to Katie's channel because I loved her personality. I loved her energy. I love her style and her editing and how she talks about books. Most of the time, I'm not reading the same books that Katie is reading, but her joy and passion and energy that she is showing in her vlogs, again, whether she's loving or hating the book, I love it. And I'm there for the chaos. And that's what keeps bringing me back to watching her videos. It's not the books that she's reading. If you are someone who's feeling like you want to start a channel, or you do have a channel but it's very small, you only have a few videos out, and you feel like you are not good enough to be putting videos out there, that you don't have the right energy, or you can't put out the kind of content that other creators are putting out, my biggest piece of advice to you is just be you. You will find your subscribers and your people because they like you and they like your style and they like your energy and your aesthetics and your editing style. I follow a lot of creators, but they're not all the same. Some I follow because they are calm and have beautiful B-roll and they're more this calm, soothing aesthetic. I follow other creators because they're funny and doing these crazy, wacky challenges. I follow others because they give really good, in-depth reviews and opinion pieces on books. They're just sitting in their library doing a deep dive discussion on books or bookish topics or certain authors or tropes or whatever, and I am there just for the discussion. I follow a lot of creators for a lot of different reasons, and it's all about their personality. So me trying to invoke the spirit of Katie and read the way that Katie reads isn't about me thinking that my personality is not good enough, that I need to be more crazy and chaotic or calm and soothing, or I need more B-roll or more sit-down discussion video or whatever it is. I still am who I am, and that's not going to change. It's just about bringing passion back into my life for reading. I'm not reading books I don't like. I have talked about this several times. I am reading books that I want to read, and joining BookTube has taught me to DNF. I have never DNF'd so much in my life. I always force myself to finish books. I don't do that anymore. If I'm not loving it, I stop. So what am I trying to say here? What's the point of all of this? I don't want a super long intro. That's always the hardest part, right? Cutting down the intro, explaining all of your thoughts and everything you want to accomplish in this video, and keeping it short and concise at the same time. Not doable. So I hope you will join me on this journey. Have I already read one of the books? Yes, of course I have already, and am now that I am 1 out of 3 books deep, I've finally finding the time to film this intro. I have read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I won't spoil what I feel about it, but now I need to jump into yours truly. And I bought my very first Abby Jimenez. I did a book haul earlier this year and bought just for the summer, and then realized it's actually technically part 3 or book 3 in this Part of Your world. And everyone talks about how much they absolutely love yours truly and Part of Your World. So of course I had to jump on the bandwagon, spent more of my money buying these books, spent more of my money buying a whole bunch more annotation supplies, and I have even more coming. I think that's it. Let's get into reading. So a book hasn't made me cry yet this whole year. Why am I like bawling my eyes out at a birth scene in Part of Your World? Like, it's so crazy. It's an intense birth scene, but pretty standard for somebody who's gone into labor suddenly and can't get to a hospital. It's not standard having a baby at home when you weren't planning on having the baby at home. And it is really intense, and there is a slight complication, but it's not, it works out. Like, it's fine. Nothing bad happens, just so you know. But like, why am I bawling my eyes out? It's so like, why is that making me emotional of all things? But yeah, I'm enjoying this book, needless to say. So going downtown to pick up groceries, I was like crying emotional tears. Someone's having a baby, emotional kind of tears. On the way home, I'm basically crying tears of laughter because there's a whole scene about taking a dick pic that was just hilarious. I have to get my husband to listen to that. It was so funny. I just got home, gonna bring in the groceries and maybe do some reading sprints. But yeah, emotional tears on the way down, tears of laughter on the way up. I don't know what we're getting, but we're doing B-roll footage. Don't be awkward. When there's no other dogs at the dog park, so you have to be the dog for them. What is wrong with my camera? Happy Easter, everybody. Today is April 20th, 2025. When did I read this book? July 2024. I suck at vlogging, and even more than vlogging, I suck at editing. Everything has gone wrong with this vlog that I have been so excited for. I was so pumped for it. I absolutely adored all the books, loved Abby Jimenez, never read her before reading these 3 books. And I had so much fun and such a great time with these books, but the vlogging process just fell apart. I have lost so much footage. There is a scene in here that is just hilarious about taking a dick pic, and it was hilarious. I listened to this book completely as an audiobook, And that's why there's not very many tabs in this one versus the other two that I physically read, because I just haven't had the time to go back and tab them. You can see in the background that I am doing a little bit of a bullet journal spread thing for this book. I'm terrible at bullet journaling, and I was trying to like do my own bullet journal. That's why it's just on printer paper, and I was just trying to like make up my own book journal last year. It didn't really work out. I have so many interests and hobbies and too many kids and dogs and too busy of a life to pursue all of the hobbies. So things just fall to the wayside, of course. Speaking of hobbies, I just crocheted this top, this like little shrug cardigan thing, and I like it, but I'm trying to get it to sit right. I think I even have like a little button I could do. I think it's cute like this. It's a little warm actually, but yeah, the lighting is all weird. I'm trying to use natural light. It's not working great. Anyways, let's just jump in and talk about the book. So I listened to this as an audiobook. The dick pic scene had me laughing so hard. I mentioned that there is a birth scene in this actually that I was crying, or like I was tearing up. I wasn't like bawling my eyes or anything, but there were tears, and it was just emotional. It was intense. Everything, if that is like a trigger for you, birth stuff, everything worked out just fine. And the person in labor didn't even realize there was a problem, because our main character in this, Alexis, is an ER doctor, and she's there to deliver the baby because the woman who goes into labor goes in too quickly to get to the hospital or anything like that. So Alexis happens to be in town that day, and she is able to assist with the birth and deliver the baby safely. But there is like the cord is wrapped around the neck or something, but Alexis is an ER doctor, so she's quick on her feet, and she's like, okay, this is an emergency, let's get this going. And she doesn't say anything to anybody. She just deals with it on her own. So there's no panic happening from the people around her and the woman giving birth, beyond just, I'm giving birth in a circumstance I wasn't expecting, and it's very sudden, and I'm not at the hospital. There's no additional fear added, and Alexis is able to maneuver the baby and get her hand in there and work it in a way that there are absolutely no complications or anything. It's perfectly healthy, normal birth, labor, delivery, everything is perfectly fine. So if that upsets you or anything, it's okay. Everything is fine, but you're inside Alexis's head. So it's very tense and emotional at that moment. And Alexis has never given birth or anything like that. It's not personal for her, just as a doctor. And I have given birth several times, and I have never, as far as I know, there's never been like the cord wrapped around the neck or anything like that. There's never been any surprises. It's all gone pretty textbook. My pregnancies and labors and deliveries, thank God, are all fairly normal, standard, what you would expect them to be kind of thing. But I know what it's like to be in that position, giving birth, maybe not in a high risk situation or anything, but I don't know, it just made me emotional. And then I was listening to that scene on the way down to get groceries, and then on the way back up to get groceries, she is talking about getting a dick pic from Daniel, the male love interest in this, and his friends step in to help him and everything, and it was just hilarious. So I was crying tears of emotion. I don't even know. It wasn't sadness or anything, but just I get emotional at birth scenes anyways. Crying tears of that on the way down, and then laughing so hard I'm crying on the way back up. And then we went for a walk, me and my husband and our dog, and I had him listen to this like 10-minute scene where he's setting up this dick pic that was very hilarious. And I recorded all that, and I had this whole thing done, and we were talking about it and everything. I lost all that footage. So I'm just gonna tell you, it was a hilarious scene, and my husband thought it was hilarious too. And Daniel's friends like step in. He's like, I don't need you taking my dick pic for me. And his friend's like, I'm not taking it for you. I'm just setting you up. And he got like the ring light from the girl at the bar, who is Daniel's friend. I don't know if they're cousins or if they're related somehow, maybe. I can't remember, but he borrowed the ring light from her, and then there's like a three-way conversation going, and he's like, this is the most awkward thing ever. Why are you all on the phone with me? Why am I talking to this girl about taking a dick pic for another girl? And she tells Daniel, don't put a ruler beside it, and he's like, guys do that? And she's like, yeah, all the time. So I just thought that was like, the whole scene was just hilarious. And it is not an unsolicited dick pic, so that makes it okay. So I just love this book. He is taking care of a baby goat here, and her name is Chloe. and his friend owns like a farm, but he is a vegetarian. So it's more like a petting zoo farm type thing. And all of his animals have punny type names. Like Chloe is actually Chloe Nosebleed. There's a Duck Norris. Al Capone is the miniature horse or pony or whatever. He's got rabbits, like Rabbit Downey Jr. was one of them. And I can't remember all the names. I think, was that one where I started doing all my highlighting and tabbing, like Katie, just trying to go like crazy wild with my tabbing. I said, you had me at goat and always lead with the goat, because it actually starts with Alexis getting stuck in this tiny little town that Daniel lives in. And she goes to the bar and Daniel's like, I'll help you, I'll tow the truck and stuff like that. And it ends with them going home together because somebody else is like hitting on her at the bar, and Daniel's like, no, she's with me. And he's like, I gotta get home to the kid, which is a baby goat, right? So I'm like, always lead with the goat. Yeah, the scene before the dick pics, Alexis's best friend, Bree, which comes up in the next book, Alexis gets a picture on her phone, a text, and she's laughing about it. And Bree's like, let me see that. And she grabs it, and it's a picture of Duck, is it Duck Norris or whatever? It's like a little baby duck. And her friend is like, these are not dick pics. This is a duck pic. And I was like, that's hilarious. Those are the kind of pics I want, are cute little baby animals. Anyways, I remember what I want to talk about with Alexis Henderson. She deals with a lot of stuff in her books, a lot of trauma and intense things in her books. Alexis is leaving an emotionally abusive relationship with a lot of gaslighting and controlling and just emotionally abusive. Her parents are mostly her dad, but her mom does nothing to stop it. And it's just like, listen to your father, you know what your father's like. He's also very emotionally manipulative and gaslighting, and no one believes like what she's saying. So she is leaving Neil in this, her partner that she's been with for a long time. He's a surgeon, and he was abusive to her, and her parents are so upset that they're breaking up. And she's like, Dad, like, he was abusive. And he's like, well, maybe if you did this, or maybe if you did that, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. And her parents are actually pushing them to have couples counseling. And she talks to Neil and says, you do the couples counseling on your own. You need counseling. He is narcissistic. And I've listened to Dr. Phil talk about this, and does therapy work for narcissists? And it can, but it's not common. Like, don't put your hopes on the fact that this person is going to change because they're in therapy. Sometimes they just learn better how to manipulate a situation because they're learning from a therapist how to act around people, right? But I do like that Neil does choose to go to therapy and start working on himself. But this is a book, this is fiction. Don't believe that if you're dating a narcissist and if you can convince him to go to therapy, that everything's gonna be perfect and sunshine and rainbows in the end. That's not necessarily true. And spoiler alert, she doesn't get back with Neil just because he goes to therapy. But I appreciate that he does go and he does try to get help. And she stands up for herself, saying that I am not going to do therapy with you until you go and start getting help for yourself first. I'm not doing couples therapy. Our problems aren't couple problems. They're individual things that are going on, and it's you causing problems and bringing that into our relationship. Also, what I really liked about this book is that she talks about Alexis here. Her family are all like, I don't think her mom is, but her dad is a surgeon. And she's dating this surgeon, and her brother is also a doctor, but he's gone overseas to get away from the family and not be pressured into being the next family surgeon, this big person within the hospital. That her family's actually like disappointed in her for not becoming a surgeon. She's a ER doctor. How dare she? And her dad is like one of the top people in the hospital, at the board of this and that and everything. So that's what he wanted for her. I think she's up for that position. I can't remember. I think she's kind of up for that position, but is it really what she wants? That's what her family wants for her, right? And she was raised with this mindset that she would take over like the family business by being the head of the hospital, right? And she was raised to be a doctor, whether that's an ER doctor or a surgeon or whatever. She was raised to be a medical professional, preferably a surgeon, according to her parents, but you know, at least she's working in the hospital, even though she's only an ER doctor. And because she grew up with that, with her parents also being rich, she grew up with maids who did the cooking, the cleaning, who did her laundry. She never had to do any domestic stuff before. She only had to concentrate on going to school, getting good grades, becoming a doctor. That's it. That's what she had to worry about. And then she meets Daniel, who's living in this tiny little town. He's like the mayor of the town. It's like a family thing again. There's always been whatever his last name is, Grant or something. There's always been a Grant as the mayor. So he's kind of taken over that. He has his own issues with his mom. And I think his dad passed away or something, but his mom has her own mental health issues that are undiagnosed, untreated kind of thing. And she's not a huge part of this book. She shows up later in a different book, but he is running a B&B from his grandparents' place or whatever. They raised him. They've passed. He's taken over this property and he's running it as a B&B, and his mom's like, I want to sell it because I need money. And he's like, no, please let me keep running it. But it's only really profitable during the summer. So I don't even think he's open during winter or something. I'm sick. My throat is dry. Coffee isn't helping. But he's like, let me get it up and running. Let me put it out there that it's open for the season, blah, blah, blah. So he is cooking breakfast. Alexis has never had to cook for herself in her life. Even moving out of her parents' place and living with Neil, her current boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, who she's just separating from, he does the cooking when there's cooking to be done, if they're not like eating out or having stuff brought in or whatever. So Daniel, he's cooking the meals. He's cleaning the rooms. He's preparing all of the B&B to have guests over, right? He's gardening. He's got a dog that he's taking care of. All of this stuff. He's doing domestic things. And he's also like a woodworker. Like in his spare time, he makes these incredible pieces of artwork with wood, like headboards and stuff, like big pieces. So he's good with his hands. He's a good handyman. He's good at the domestic stuff, like cleaning and cooking and stuff. And she's there one weekend with her friends, just for a weekend away kind of thing, because they realize the B&B's open and then they're like secretly dating. So her friends aren't supposed to know that she's dating him, and her friends are really rich and snobby and rude and they don't like what's going on. There's like a mess up in the house and all this stuff happens. It's been months since I've read it. All this stuff happens and they're really rude and she feels like horrible. She's like, let me help you clean this mess. And he's like, sure, grab a broom kind of thing. And then he's realizing she doesn't know how to do basic cleaning, but he never rubs it in her face. He's like, you don't know how to like sweep and mop and clean the windows and stuff like that? Like, you don't know that stuff? And she's like, I wasn't raised to do that. We had people do that for us. And he's like, oh, okay, well, here, let me teach you. He's not making fun of her being like, how do you not know how to do the dishes? You're so stupid. He's like, oh, okay, that's not how you grew up. So let me teach you these things. And then later on, she delivers this baby that's actually a complicated birth. And she doesn't miss a beat. She safely delivers that baby, no problems. She's not in a hospital. She doesn't have a bunch of nurses or other doctors around to help her. It's her and a couple of lay people around that are just there to support the mom in this crazy situation. And there was one guy there, and the girl who's giving birth, she's a lesbian, and the one guy is like, I can help you. He's the one that owns the farm and the animals. He's like, I've helped horses or goats or whatever give birth. And she's like, you're not looking at me down there. Get away from me. I don't want your help. But Alexis does this and helps birth this child. And Daniel's like, you don't know how to clean the counters, but you were perfectly calm and competent in the middle of delivering this complicated birth. Like your skill set, like, yeah, sure, you don't know the domestic stuff, but you are smart and you have skills that are incredible. So I love that Daniel acknowledged what she was good at and uplifted her for what she could do and didn't put her down for not knowing basic things that we should all know. And speaking as a parent, speaking as an adult, if you can afford help in your house for cooking, cleaning, all of that stuff, if you can have a maid and a chef and a butler and all those things, that's amazing. Please teach your kids how to do basic chores and basic cooking, like boiling water for pasta, like basic stuff. Teach them how to sweep and mop and take care of themselves, even on a basic level, even if they can hire people down the road to do it for them. It's just life skills. I gotta go out there and get my dogs, and my storage is running out, so I gotta wrap this up really quick. Yeah, I just love that Daniel never made her feel stupid for not knowing what we would consider just like the basic everyday things that everyone should know. He didn't make her feel stupid for that. He's like, okay, I understand. You didn't grow up that way. It's not your fault. Your parents had all this wealth and had this help for you, and they just focused on your education and becoming a doctor. That's not your fault. And you're incredibly smart. I'm going to show you how to do these basic housekeeping skills. So I just loved Daniel, and I loved Alexis, and I love their relationship and their dynamic. I'm gonna leave it there for now because the dogs are barking and my phone keeps beeping at me every like 30 seconds that it's running out of space. So that is my little quick wrap up for part of your world, and I'll wrap up more in a little bit. In a lot of Katie's vlogs, you will see that she is walking on a walking pad or pacing around her apartment as she is reading. I thought it would be fun to add some B-roll of me walking around my house reading as well. I actually contacted Katie and asked her if it would be okay for me to include B-roll footage of me walking around. Because if you do not know, Katie has type 1 diabetes, which is insulin-dependent diabetes and is a chronic condition. I am not diabetic. I am not a medical professional of any kind whatsoever, and I did not want this walking around footage to seem insensitive. But I wanted to add a little disclaimer here and to take this time as a little teaching moment. I Googled, and you can Google as well, obviously, for more information. But type 1 diabetes is where the pancreas makes little or no insulin. Insulin is a hormone the body uses to allow sugar or glucose to enter cells to produce energy. Different factors such as genetics and some viruses may cause type 1 diabetes. Although it usually appears during childhood or adolescence, it can develop in adults. Even after a lot of research, type 1 diabetes has no cure. Treatment is directed toward managing the amount of sugar in the blood using insulin, diet, and lifestyle to prevent complications. This is different from type 2 diabetes that used to be known as adult onset diabetes. But both type 1 and type 2 can begin during childhood and adulthood. Type 2 is more common in older adults. There's no cure for type 2 diabetes. Losing weight, eating well, and exercising can help manage the disease. If diet and exercise aren't enough to control blood sugar, diabetes medications or insulin therapy may be recommended. So one of the reasons why I was thinking about doing this B-roll of me walking around the house is because I thought it would be cute and funny because I have a toddler who follows me everywhere, as well as a dog that would probably follow me. And when I was first planning this, we were also dog sitting, and the two dogs are absolutely wild and crazy. And I thought it would just add some fun, cute, chaotic energy to this vlog. But I did not want it to come across as insensitive to Katie's condition of type 1 diabetes, and that is a very, very serious chronic condition that she has and needs to be taken seriously. And as I said, I was talking to her and did get permission to add this footage in the vlog. And again, I want to make it clear that I know nothing about diabetes except for what I have Googled here, which I have found at themayoclinic.org. But another reason why I wanted to add it was because I went to my doctor a few months ago dealing with excessive thirst and feeling like I constantly need to pee, but I know that that feeling of needing to pee a lot can be a bladder infection, but I knew that it probably was not that because I have dealt with that before, and it comes on very suddenly and it is very, very painful, and I go for treatment right away. This is more that feeling like when you are pregnant, for those who know, where it's kind of just like all the time you feel like your bladder just won't fully empty, and this is annoying during the day, but at nighttime it is very difficult because I want to sleep. And I will go to bed and get comfortable, and then my mind is way down thinking that I need to pee. I have also found lately that I have been very thirsty no matter how much water I drink. And I do drink a lot of caffeine and water. And I will drink pops and stuff like that, but mostly it's been caffeine and water, but I'm always thirsty. So I was asking people, what do you drink to help you stay hydrated? And a few people did give me some suggestions of things that you can add to your water, electrolytes and stuff. And a few people said, go get tested. That can be a sign of diabetes. So I also wanted to take this time now to just talk about our own health. And if you are having any of these symptoms, not to stress out and worry and think, I have diabetes just because you are thirsty, or because you got up to pee 3 times in the night when you never used to do that before. Don't freak out. go to the doctor. That is easy for me to say living in Canada with free healthcare and access to insurance that covers medications if that is something that I do need. But if you are able to go to a doctor, get the blood work, and if it is something more serious, if it is a chronic condition, it's better to catch it early so that you can get the treatment that you need sooner than if you just leave it and it becomes an actual major problem. So I just wanted to share what those symptoms are for you to go seek out medical attention. So for the type 1 diabetes, it does say that symptoms can appear suddenly and may include feeling more thirsty than usual, urinating a lot, bedwetting in children who have never wet the bed during the night, feeling very hungry, losing weight without trying, feeling irritable or having other mood changes, feeling tired and weak. That is another thing that I deal with, is feeling exhausted all the time, and having blurry vision. For the type 2 diabetes, symptoms of type 2 diabetes often develop slowly. In fact, you can be living with type 2 diabetes for years and not know it. When symptoms are present, they may include increased thirst, frequent urination, increased hunger, unintended weight loss, fatigue, blurred vision, slow healing sores, frequent infections, numbness or tingling in the hands or feet, and areas of darkened skin, usually in the armpits and neck. So a lot of the same symptoms through both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Thank God I was not diagnosed with diabetes from the blood work, but my blood work did show that I have high triglycerides. So high triglycerides, also found at the mayoclinic.org, are a type of fat or lipid found in your blood. When you eat, your body converts any calories it doesn't need to use right away into triglycerides. The triglycerides are stored in your fat cells. Later, hormones release triglycerides for energy between meals. If you regularly eat more calories than you burn, particularly from high carbohydrate foods, you may have high triglycerides. So my doctor said I am high, so I need to watch what I am eating. High triglycerides are often a sign of other conditions. High triglycerides may contribute to hardening of the arteries or thickening of the artery walls, which increases the risk of stroke, heart attack, and heart disease. The best way to lower triglycerides is to exercise regularly. Aim for at least 30 minutes of physical activity on most or all days of the week. Regular exercise can lower triglycerides and boost good cholesterol. Avoid sugar and refined carbohydrates, lose weight, choose healthier fats, and limit how much alcohol you drink. So I know that I need to exercise more regularly, and that is one of the reasons why I wanted to do some of the pacing around my house in order to get in some of that exercise while still reading. And I love to go for walks outside, but with the wildfires in my province, it has been very difficult to go outside with all of the smoke that has been around, and I also have asthma and young children that I don't want out walking in the smoke. It's either smoky, raining, or ridiculously hot, and now it is cool in the evenings and we could go for nice walks, but then we are being eaten alive by mosquitoes. It is like a no-win situation with going outside. But as much as I am trying to incorporate outside walks more often, I also like the idea of just walking around the house as well. So that was another reason why I wanted to add in the walking B-roll. I also looked up walking for diabetes, and on diabetes.org.uk it says benefits of walking when you have diabetes. When you have diabetes, moving more can make a huge difference to how you feel and how you manage your condition. So whether you have type 1, type 2, or another type of diabetes, walking is a good way to get physically active and build movement into your daily routine. This is because walking helps the body use insulin better, helps relieve stress, which can affect your blood sugar levels and reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, helps you build stamina, burn excess calories, and make your heart healthier. Increasing the speed at which you walk increases the benefits. It is a low-risk activity because it's easy on your joints, and it can help improve your sleep, which is definitely something that I need. So I know just from watching Katie's videos and what she shares in her public YouTube channel that she has to wear an insulin thing on her body that monitors her blood sugar levels and lets her know if her sugars are too high. or whatever, and she will walk to help lower her blood sugar levels. And as you can see, walking, of course, has many, many great benefits, not just for people with diabetes. So thank you so much for listening to this if you did, and watching me just walk around the house and get some more daily exercise. Again, if you are having symptoms, especially new symptoms that have suddenly come on, like extreme fatigue, excess thirst, increased urination, things like that, go see a doctor. And there may be other lifestyle changes that have happened to you that can be the reason for these things happening, like getting pregnant. You are going to feel like you need to pee quite often. Most likely. I had 4 pregnancies, and that's what it was like for me with all 4 pregnancies. And then after having the baby and I breastfed all 4 of my children, I was extremely thirsty all the time. I joked that I could drink a sip of water when I was pregnant and pee like a bathtub's worth of liquid. And when I was breastfeeding, I could drink a bathtub's worth of liquid and pee a drop. So obviously, there are other factors that you need to look into, but if nothing in your life has really changed, but these symptoms have suddenly come on, please seek medical help if you can. Again, thank you for watching this little part, and go check out Katie's videos. They are amazing, and we will get back into the reading and talking about the books. I don't want more than one person to come over. Clearly, the horror. He gave an amused look. I just like people more when they're not around. Present company excluded. Do I mark that with LOL or relatable? Because kind of both. I don't have social anxiety. I've actually turned more into an introvert since having kids, I think. I don't think introvert's quite the right word. I just prefer my own company or require a lot of me time. What I do, because actually tabbing can stress me out a little bit. In this book, what I've been doing is, if I think I could tab it as 2 different things, like LOL, cute, or relatable or something, I'll pick one. Like if I laughed, I'll pick the laughing one. And then on top of it, I will write relatable. Or somewhere in the margins, I will annotate it, saying that it was relatable. Okay, and this is also hilarious and also relatable. Lieutenant Dan finished with me, which if you don't know is the dog, and hopped up onto one of the chairs, and I gave Jacob a look. Oh my, is that his chair? You only have 2 chairs and one of them is for the dog? That is relatable. So Brianna is seeing Jacob's house for the very first time, and she's just saying there was a remarkable amount of color in his house. Yellow walls, pops of blue, colorful backsplash in the kitchen, nice artwork. He had a pretty chandelier over the small table and stained glass hanging in the window. So I think we've all been or seen those places that are like, is garish the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. Or an eyesore. It's just too much color. But I love that he has color in his house. We just painted a wall. Actually, I didn't paint it. My husband and kids painted it while I was away, and it's purple. And I thought it was going to be like just a tinge above white, like just off white with that hint of purple in it. No, it is purple. It's more, this is a pinkish purple. It's more whatever color it's picking up in the camera. It's more this color, maybe even a little bit darker. It's not bad at all. I really, really like the color. I just came home and I was like, whoa, that's darker than I was expecting it to be. But it's so nice. And I love that. I love little pops of color. So the way she's describing this house, it's a lot of color, but it seems very tasteful and pretty, and I like that. Funny, I say pretty and he's like a bachelor man, right? Like you would expect it to be blacks and, I don't know, gunmetal colors or something, but it just seems very warm and inviting versus like obnoxiously colorful. Yeah, I just love the idea of having color and making it tasteful. So if you have any suggestions, let me know, because my house is just a chaotic, crazy mess. And I'm trying to make it more of a homey feeling, which is really hard when you don't want to sweep and mop the floors 10 times a day. Anyways, I want to go to this guy's house. Can I stay there on my next vacation? I also forgot to mention the other, I think one of the dogs just farted audibly. I forgot to mention the other description of his house. So Jacob had a big floor-to-ceiling bookshelf with framed photos tucked into it and lots of plants. I would have killed all the plants. Do you ever want to just scream at your main characters because you know the thoughts inside of both of their heads and you know the truth, but they are interpreting things wrongly, and you're like, no, he does love you. No, she is interested in you, and you just want to yell at them because it's the third act breakup. There has to be some kind of conflict. There has to be something that pulls them apart so that they can come together because they realize they are meant to be together. And you just want to yell at them because you're like, you don't need to have the breakup part. Just have the conversation. But I was talking about tropes. The tried and true and the tried and tired. And miscommunication is one of those tropes that most people dislike. I think you can do it well. Yes, it's frustrating, and yes, it's annoying, and it can be done really poorly. Sometimes it's just there to create conflict when a very simple conversation could solve the problem. I think Abby Jimenez is doing a well enough job with it because it is something that happens in real life. And we do get too much in our heads and do get anxiety about confronting something or feeling like, what if this person doesn't like me the way I thought they liked me or the way I like them or whatever. And then our one main character, Jacob, I keep wanting to call him Daniel. That's the other guy from the other book. But Jacob, he actually suffers with pretty severe anxiety. So his is like even 10 times worse than like the average person who's just like, does he like me? Does she like me? Does he not? You know. So I just want to like take the characters and tell them to talk to each other. Just communicate with each other. Also, at the end of chapter 25, so this might be spoilers, I'm not 100% sure. So you know in the synopsis that Brianna's divorce is finalized. So they don't talk about the divorce happening because her husband was cheating on her, having an affair. But there is a trigger warning at the beginning. So if trigger warnings are like a spoiler for you, you might want to skip a second. But content guidance, I like that they called it that. This book is close to my heart for a lot of reasons, but before you dive in, I just want to give you a heads up about a few themes, including a main character who was cheated on in a past relationship, a flashback to a pregnancy issue, a mention of suicide, and a character who has clinical anxiety. Yet, despite these heavy topics, readers will be treated to laughs and happily ever afters for all. You can find further content guidance on my Goodreads page. Thanks so much for reading, and I hope you enjoyed the book. Best, Abby. So you learned that there was a main character who was cheated on. So we're at this point now with the third act breakup, and Jacob is trying to also get over a relationship when him and Brianna start fake dating to prove that he's over that fake relationship in order to go to the wedding of his ex. Something happens, and I was gonna say Abby because it's at the top of the page. Brianna feels like that maybe Jacob isn't 100% over his ex-girlfriend. And she's talking to Allie, our main character from the first book, and Allie says, "What's she like?" I rolled my eyes. Perfect. She looks like Rosamund Pike, but somehow prettier. You're prettier too, she said, closing her eyes. Ha. And then this is the part that I was like, yes, it is so accurate to how you feel if you have been cheated on. What did it matter if I was pretty or smart or if he liked to spend time with me and confide in me and lean on me? Because just like with Kelly, I still wasn't her. And I was like, ouch. That hits. It's so true. Like, it doesn't matter how much somebody's like, it's not about you, or whatever reason the other person has for having been unfaithful in the relationship. It's hard not to think like it is you, though you are the problem, and obviously that person is prettier or whatever. And like you said, like, it doesn't even matter if you are confident in your own right, knowing that you are beautiful and smart and funny and all these things, because if they're picking somebody else, it doesn't matter. They have chosen somebody over you, and that's what hurts. And I was just like, ugh. I didn't cry at that part. She hits in the feels, for sure. And I'm angry at them for not communicating and being open and honest. But I understand it at the same time because you're in their heads, so you're understanding where their thoughts are coming from. But you just want to smack them over the head and tell them to just talk to each other. And then all this stuff with Brianna dealing with her ex-husband and going through this divorce and still coming to terms with her husband's affair. And it was more than just like a one-night stand as well. It was like a full-blown, I'm in a relationship in love with somebody else affair. And I have never dealt with that myself personally, but I imagine that would be absolutely devastating, obviously, and it has completely broken up their marriage. Like, they're no longer together, but she has built a life with this guy, her ex. I don't remember his name. She built a life with this guy. She built a life with this guy, and he chose somebody else, and that's a really hard thing to get over. And it's hard not to feel like no matter how amazing your next partner is, or how much they tell you that they love you, or that you're amazing and that your ex was the one in the wrong and they're stupid for choosing somebody else over you, blah blah blah, it doesn't matter, because the fact is that they did choose somebody else. And how hard is it to trust somebody else not to do the same thing to you? And also for you to feel like, well, if I'm not perfect, if I'm not this, if I'm not that, they're just going to find somebody else. Or like, as I age, they're going to find somebody younger and prettier and smarter and more energetic or whatever, right? Like, it's really hard to get over that. So I can totally understand where Brianna's coming from as well. She doesn't want to get her heart broken again because she's already been not picked once. She's already had her heart broken because her husband, the love of her life, the person she was expecting to spend the rest of her life with, somebody she built a life with, chose somebody else. And that's just like, it makes you compare and feel disappointed every time you realize no one is as good as her, the other woman, obviously. I knew this better than anyone. I'd already lived it once. Oh, it's so devastating. I just feel so much for Brianna and her working through what happened with her ex-husband. So, sorry if you can hear the air conditioning. It is way too hot to turn off the air conditioning. So, not me sitting here reading yours truly and thinking the cover's really cute with the little furry mom life. Oh, my dog trying to get out. She's attached to me. Not me sitting here seeing the flight pattern thing of the little paper airplane and it being called Yours Truly, and me wondering like, what could that mean? And having no idea that this book is written in letters. No, I did not read the back. I just jumped into this because everyone talked about Abby Jimenez and Part of Your World and Yours Truly and how amazing it was and how much they loved it. Top books of the year. Butter. It's too hot. We were outside sitting at the water. You can kind of see it in the background there. It's too hot out. It's currently 27 degrees Celsius, but it feels a lot hotter than that. And the dogs are bad. They don't listen. How did I not know that this was like love letters? And that is the sweetest, cutest thing ever. I am loving it. I used to write letters so much as a teenager. And my friend and I still will write each other letters occasionally. We live 5 hours apart, so we don't see each other very often. We used to write each other like every few months. We'd get like a 10-page letter from each other. But it's definitely slowed down since having kids. But we do text and talk pretty often, just not the letters. Okay, so all my kids are back in the car. Jasper's not happy about being back in the car. I got the air conditioning cranked even more, so I'm gonna have to do this update later. But I just wanted to like squeal about the letter writing. I love it. It's so sweet. And before I forget, I just wanted to mention that this book isn't just letters. It's not just told through letters. There is like text, there's story there, but then letters of how our main character Brianna and the new doctor in town, what's his name, Jacob, how they are choosing to communicate, because Jacob deals with like debilitating social anxiety, and so that's how they're getting to know each other. But there's still story there. There's still plot and everything happening outside of the letters, but they're getting to know each other through the letters, which I just absolutely love. So I have put this down for the past week and a half or so. I am roughly halfway through the book, maybe a little bit less. Have I tagged enough to read like Katie? Let me know if this is aggressive enough tagging and highlighting and notes and everything. I haven't always been able to highlight. I just put in the tag. And I've also got my little chart here to tell me what each tag is. And then I've been using this as one of my bookmarks. This is my other bookmark. And then I'm writing what the tags mean because some of the colors are actually quite similar. I have never tagged so much in my life. So I hope I'm being very Katie with the tagging. I went to go visit my mom. I'll insert a little bit of footage for you to see what I did there, but I was reading 2 other books which were not very good, honestly. One was like more like a 2.5. It wasn't, neither one of them were bad. They were just kind of boring and were not the romance books I was expecting. The second one was a lot better. One was The Flip Side and one was A New Life for Ariana Bryn. I didn't want to bring this on vacation. I don't know why. I just wanted to spend my time at home reading it. So, I'm on page 184, and I am loving these books. I did not tab Part of Your World as much because I was listening to it as an audiobook and not going and tabbing when I needed to, but I'm going to be flipping through it and tabbing when I can. And I do not have an audiobook for this one right now. It's like a 21-week wait or whatever. But I am so excited to jump back into this. I need a good book to read. I am also listening to An Echo in the Bone, I think it's called. It's like the 7th in the Outlander series. 6? I don't remember. They all just blend together. It's just like one long, epic, 10,000 page book. And it all just blends together. I typed in how many pages is the main Outlander series, and the first thing that came up 9 years ago, 8 books, some 7,500 pages later. We're on book 9 now, though. It is true that devoting time and energy to reading the Outlander books is not for the faint of heart, ranging from 640 pages to 1,157 pages in length. They are long books. The first book came out in 1991. Wikipedia doesn't tell me how many pages it is. But yeah, like 10,000 pages. So I've been listening to that one, but now I'm going to dive back into this. I am currently on Patreon reading sprints. I believe this is the final sprint with Gavin and Jade from JD Reads. So I'm going to read for the next 9.5-ish minutes, maybe, if my baby will let me. And I will talk more when I have more quiet time to update on all the feels. They're so sweet. Said I had 9 minutes to read and sat down with 3 minutes left because my baby needed a bath. Okay, so Katie is always giving quotes when she does these vlogs. And I don't know if I want to do spoilers or not, but I don't think this is a spoiler, but I'm just going to read this one quote. This is our main character, Brianna, who is an ER doctor that was friends with our main character from Part of Your World. I'm trying to remember her name. And the new doctor that came in to replace our main character from the other book when she moved, which I guess would be spoiler for the first book. There's a new doctor in this book, and they're sitting together, and this book is got some fake dating in it, but they are talking about how are they going to convince people that they are actually dating, and they are just sitting there hanging out, getting to know each other kind of thing, eating something, burgers and fries, and watching TV, and they're just like lapsed into a comfortable silence. We ate without talking while we watched TV, and my heart rate finally stabilized. His name is Josh? They all start with J's. All the kids in his family start with J names. Jacob. You know what these silences make me think of? She said. I look over at her. What? I always think that when we're quiet, we're agreeing to be harmless to each other. That we're just sharing the same space and letting each other exist exactly as we are, and neither of us would hurt or upset the other one. That's just like so sweet. And goals. I love that they're just agreeing to be harmless with each other, just sharing the same space, letting each other exist exactly as they are. There's no pretenses there. They don't have to pretend or act or put on a show like the fake dating. They're gonna fake date in front of the family and have to kind of pretend act, right? But when they're just sitting there in their living room eating burgers and fries and watching TV, they just get to be. They just are. And that is so amazing, and I love that. And now my timer is up. So I haven't even started reading anything. I was just flipping back to remind me of
And I finished
what was happening when I left off reading.
just in time. I had to take the book to the toilet with me.
So I finished yours truly a few nights ago, like not last night, but the night before. And so good, so awesome. I want to talk about it. The whole point of this vlog is to read and kind of film like Katie does, because I just want to drum up all that passion for reading. And part of me is doing it just behind the scenes because I don't have time I can film more, but editing, I have burned out on editing. I don't think I've posted a single video this August, and today is the 29th. And I've been wanting to put this off because I've been enjoying the books so very much, and it's been such a good time, and I really do feel like that 5-star energy, and because I'm annotating and tabbing like absolutely crazy, it really is making me engage more and enjoy the book more. Sorry for the clicking, my son is...
I'm trying to make it build invisible.
Fortnite, right?
Fortnite.
Yes. So, so you're just getting like flying in your screen. So look at this. I am pale. So, that I muted his sound, but I can't mute him. Unfortunately, I can't mute like the clicking and stuff. But, oh, now I'm really dark. Okay, anyways, I need to pick this up because this is up here. The romance books I plan to read this summer. Today is August 29th, and when I was looking on the calendar, when I did my Summer of Romance TBR video, summer technically ends September 22nd, I believe, is the first day of fall, or the last day of summer, I'm not sure. So technically we can bring in these summer vibes. I know a lot of people by September are totally ready for fall to hit, but I feel like the weather has finally now, at the very end of August, hit a place that I like. Some days do get a little too hot to sit directly in the sun, but it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's not too rainy, and it's not smoky out. We have been dealing with forest fires all year, and that's really frustrating. Also, our summers last like 3 seconds, so I want to drag our summer energy into September for sure. Hopefully the weather will, I was gonna say participate, but that too. But hopefully the weather will cooperate and give us summer vibes going into September, because, I mean, the one day it snowed in June here, so who knows when snow could be coming. But it's been really lovely lately. So today, I'm running to the library now with my toddler and my middle daughter, and we're gonna do some... The dog just ran and slid and slammed into the computer desk, and luckily did not knock over my child. You okay, Jesper? Anyways, that's where we're going, to the library. I'll take a little bit of B-roll of my son. It's hard to not get other kids in it, but I'm jumping into this. And yeah, we're gonna go. As you can tell, I need to leave now. And I'm gonna be picking up this. Yeah. Okay, Maya, show me what you're working on here.
Look closer to his pants.
I don't know. Okay, Maya, trolley is over there. Jasper. I know. Filming in bed when I'm trying to go to sleep gives me the worst raccoon eyes ever. I'm going to talk spoilers because I can't talk about the things I want to talk about without talking spoilers. So, Jacob was dating this woman named Amy, and they were dating like several years, and they just recently broke up, and now Amy is engaged to Jacob's brother, Jeremiah. And that is why he wants to do the fake dating thing with Brianna, because his whole family, I love his family. I love that they're a big, happy family. That is totally what I want. and their dynamics, and his mom is hilarious. She is like a world-renowned sex relationship expert, and he's like, don't talk to my mom about sex toys, and Brianna's like, what? And he's like, you'd be surprised how often it will be brought up. She's like, I don't intend to bring this up with your mom. He's like, no, she'll bring it up. It's hilarious. And she's so like sex positive, but talking to her own son, and he's just like, Mom, just don't do it. It's hilarious. I love it. Their whole dynamic. It's like goals. That's what I want for my family when we're older. Minus like the sex positive, yes. But minus like bringing up sex toys and stuff and having these awkward conversations with my children. What was I saying? I'm too tired for this. Jacob and Amy broke up, and now Amy is engaged to Jacob's brother Jeremiah, and Jacob's whole family is like, we're mad, we're not going to the wedding, we're boycotting it. And in a stand of solidarity with Jacob. And he's like, no, it's okay, I'm over Amy, it's fine, they're a better couple than me and her ever were. And they're like, I don't know, I don't like it, we don't believe that you've moved on. And that's where like the sex talk comes in, because she's like, it's okay if you're having sex with people and whatever, like it's good, it's healthy, blah blah blah. And it's like super embarrassing and mortifying conversation to be having with your family. And it was so sweet because he's on a phone call with his sister, I think, calls, and then you find out that her wife is on the line, and then Jacob's mother, and then you hear the other sister comes on the line and her husband, and then the dad finally pops in at one point, and it's just like one big family phone call. And they're very, it seems like in a very healthy way, very just connected, and it's sweet. Anyways, he ends up wanting to fake a relationship to show that he's okay with his brother and ex getting married and everything. And they are at the engagement party, and Jacob goes off to have a little bit of a break, decompress. He's an extreme introvert with bad anxiety, and this is an extra hard time for him because he is showing off his new girlfriend to the ex and showing the whole family like, I'm okay with this wedding and whatever, right? There's just extra pressure added to it on top of a big family gathering. So he goes off to have a little bit of a break, and then Brianna goes to follow, but before she gets there, Amy goes there and she's like, what are you doing? Are you really in love? She just wants to be with you because her brother is in renal failure and needs a kidney transplant, but has a really rare blood type, and no one has matched with him yet, and he has to do dialysis every few days or something. I can't remember what it is exactly. And her brother is in like a severe depression from it. And Jacob has always wanted to donate a kidney. And at first you're like, why would a stranger like Jacob ends up moving to this hospital because he's getting away from the relationship him and Amy were in. They worked at the same hospital together. And it's like he moves to this new hospital and is like, yeah, I'll test and see if I can donate to this fellow doctor's brother, because why not? Because he's actually friends with her brother's doctor, who is a specialist with kidneys and whatever, and he's the one who would be doing the testing and everything to see if they would be a match. He actually wanted to donate anonymously, but it got out like right away, and he feels like Brianna feels obligated to fake date him because he's literally giving her brother an organ. And the reason why, like, normally you'd be like, okay, you're rushing into this, why would you do this for basically a stranger? But you find out that his mom needed a transplant when he was younger. He was like 8 or something. His mom has lupus, and she was quite young when it happened, and her best friend went and got tested and was a match and gave her one of her kidneys. So his mom actually never needed to be on dialysis or anything, but there's effects of lupus, or he's talking about even now, like she has arthritis in her hands and stuff that was caused from the lupus, I guess. So like obviously it did affect her, but she never had to go on dialysis or anything like that. So he's like, when I'm older, I'm going to pass it forward. And this is the most unflattering update ever. Like, I look like Shrek. I'm going to pay it forward and donate a kidney at some point. So the miscommunication happens because they're fighting. And she's like, I care about you and all this stuff, and kind of like why the relationship didn't work out. And he's like, yeah, you were always in a one-sided conversation. And she's like, you never opened up to me and whatever, blah, blah. And Brianna catches a little bit of it through the door, and she believes that they're still in love with each other and he's not ready to move on and whatever. But he's in that moment realizing that he loves Amy, but he's not in love with Amy anymore. While Brianna's thinking he's still in love with her. Because he does say at one point, like, yeah, I love her, and that's why I'm trying to be a good person to her and not be upset about, like, I am upset about them getting married, but I'm not going to boycott the wedding because they are good for each other. And that was one thing I wanted to mention and totally forgot about. But at first, you kind of want to say, like, oh, you're like, Amy's a bitch. She didn't understand any of Jacob's quirks, his personality, the way his anxiety affected him, not special treatment, but the accommodations that he does for himself that helps him to just survive in society. She didn't understand any of it, and you're just like, oh, she's kind of a bitch. But I like that Abby Jimenez hasn't just made her the bad person. She's not bad just because she didn't work out with Jacob. And I don't personally believe in soulmates, but I do believe that there are people who are better suited for you than others. And Amy was a good person, is a good person. They just weren't good together. And his mom actually says that to him. He's having this conversation because he's like, because the family assumes that they're dating. So he's just like, I think my feelings for Brianna are stronger than her feelings for me. Because he can't just straight up say, like, we're fake dating and I'm actually falling for her, but she appears to not care about me whatsoever. Not care about me, but, like, once the wedding's done and stuff, the contract is up and we can move on and date other people. So I love this quote he has when he's talking with his mom. Can I ask you a question? She waited until I looked at her. Why did you let it go on with Amy for so long? You were so unhappy. Everyone saw it. I was afraid of change, I said finally, and I thought it was me. I thought any relationship I was in was going to be that hard because of who I was, how I was. She shook her head. Jacob, have you ever heard the saying that if you're with someone who doesn't speak your language, you'll spend a lifetime having to translate your soul? I love that. That's such, like, strong language. I love it. Amy never spoke your language. That's all. Nothing wrong with either of you. Just two different people. That's how I can tell Brianna's different. She understands you, even when you don't say anything at all. And I love that. Like, it's so true. There's, like, the 5 love languages and everything. And, you know, we're all speaking our own language, and we show love and express our love to other people the way that we feel love. If somebody does this for us, we see that as them showing us love, and we feel loved when they do that for us. So because it makes us feel loved, we do that for them. But if they don't feel loved by that same thing, it doesn't matter what we're doing, right? And it's so true. Like, you'll spend a lifetime having to translate your soul like that. Such a beautiful line. It's so powerful, and it's so true. And then it's so sweet. Brianna is at Alexis's place, and they're talking or whatever, and he's like, Jacob calls Brianna and is like, I want to see you. Can we go for breakfast? And she's like, I'm not in town. And then he asks if he can come where she is and whatever. And she's like, I don't understand why he's coming here, whatever. And then she sighs and says, I have to go take a picture of the driveway, I mumbled, getting up. The driveway? Alexis asked. He needs to know where to park. It's a thing. And I was like, that's just the sweetest thing ever, because she's so hurt. She's devastated. She thinks that he is still madly in love with his ex and isn't ready to move on and is just using her as the rebound, basically. She says it in here. She's just the in-between. She doesn't use the word rebound, but just, I'm the in-between between getting over the ex and finding the one you're meant to be with, kind of thing. And she's hurt. And that's why she's at Alexis's place. And he calls and he's like, I want to see you. And she's like, he doesn't want me though. And he's probably just feeling bad and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then she's still getting up and getting out of bed and making the accommodations that he needs to feel less anxious, to feel welcomed. And she's putting his needs above her own feelings, her hurt feelings. Like, she's still considering him and making these accommodations for him. And that's just like, that's the sweetest thing in the world, and I love it, and it's just so precious. Good night. I am almost done just for the summer, and I'm loving it. There's always questions like, if you could meet any author, living or dead, and have lunch with them, who would you meet? Who would you want to talk to? And I'm like, I want to talk to this Abby Jimenez person, because in the 3 books of hers that I have read, she has so much stuff in them to unpack. And she seems to understand it on a level that's personal. I don't know if it's like necessarily it happened to her. Like in the first book, there's physical abuse from one partner in like a side character, and our main character is leaving an emotionally abusive situation with her longtime partner, and even her parents, especially her dad, is very abusive, gaslighting, controlling, manipulative. The second book deals with anxiety, really bad social anxiety, and I think just like general anxiety, but mostly social anxiety. And the woman in that one, the main female character, Brianna, is going through a divorce because her husband was unfaithful, was in a relationship with her best friend. He wasn't just cheating on her with like, oh, I went to the bar and got drunk and hooked up with this girl. No, he was like in a full on, I love your best friend relationship. But for whatever reason, he married her, Brianna, and she married somebody else, the best friend, and continued a relationship behind the scenes, like a double life. So I don't know if it was ever made clear why they didn't just get together. Like, why did they both get married to other people? I don't know. But that's pretty difficult. That's pretty devastating. Like, cheating is cheating, and it's hard and painful no matter what it is. But I do think there are degrees of it, and it is different when it's just like, I hooked up with somebody, it was like a one night stand, or we just did it a couple of times kind of thing, or I ran into an old flame and we were drinking and things got carried away. It's still wrong. It's still horrible. It's still unacceptable. There's still no excuses for it, but that's totally different than your partner being like madly in love with and having a full-on emotional and physical affair with somebody that is also supposed to be one of your best friends. Like, those are 2 different degrees of betrayal. And then in this book, we are dealing with like a toxic mother-daughter relationship. The mom has undiagnosed mental illness. It seems very, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist or study that in any way whatsoever, but from my layman perspective, it seems very like bipolar, manic depressive, whatever that camp fits under, I'm not sure. But she's undiagnosed, the mother, and it was a very toxic growing up. And even now, our main character, Emma, is 28, and even now it's still a toxic dynamic. And it's a lot of heavy topics in Abby Jimenez's books. And I'm like, I want to talk to her. Like, did she go through this stuff? Was she in an abusive relationship or witnessed it between like maybe her parents or something? Was she in a relationship where her partner was unfaithful to her? Does she deal with anxiety? Like, how is she talking about these things the way that she's talking about them, in a way that seems like she has dealt with it personally, or someone like adjacent to her like watched her mom go through it, or her sister or something? So just all the trauma and mental illness and abuse that Abby Jimenez includes in her books. Personally, I think it's done really well. I can't really speak on it. I'm not an expert. Again, I'm not someone who's lived through most of the things that are in her books, but it seems very real and honest and authentic. And I'm like, I want to know this woman's story. It is 11:59. My daughter's done at noon, so I gotta go.
Mommy, that's rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll?
Rock and roll. Rock and roll.
Yeah. Toddlers are so cute. They're like ridiculously adorable. I don't understand. This book is hilarious. I don't know how Abby does it, but I am laughing out loud all the time. So I was just reading this scene where Brianna's mom and brother go to meet Jacob's family, his mom, dad, and the grandpa lives with his parents, and his sister was there. And Brianna's mom and brother know that Jacob's the one giving the kidney. That is one of the reasons why they wanted to meet the family. So they're driving home after the dinner. We didn't get a scene with them actually having the dinner all together. We get the scene of Brianna and her mom and brother showing up at Jacob's parents' house and walking in the door, and the mom giving Jacob a hug and being like, you're our hero, I prayed for you and you're here. And the brother also has anxiety and is an introvert. So her mother, Rosa, threw herself at me. Our hero, she said with a faint accent. We prayed for you and God brought you to us. Thank you. While she hugged me, Brianna shrugged at me over her shoulder with a smile. You're welcome, I croaked. Benny came up behind his sister, who was still shaking her head. I nodded at him. Nice to see you again. Yeah, he said awkwardly. Thanks for the thing. You're welcome. I just love that. Like, Jacob's donating an entire organ to this guy that he's met like once. And Benny's just like, thanks for the thing. Jacob gets it because he doesn't want all the praise and attention on him either. So it's perfect that way, just kind of funny. Her mom is a little bit jaded from her past because she was married and had Brianna, and then I think the husband left when she was pregnant with Benny, but I'm not 100% sure, but he left. So she ended up having to raise the kids on her own and just going through a really difficult time and has a hard time trusting men now. And she is remarried and in a good relationship, but she still has that like backup plan in place in case the guy leaves. Never be in a situation where the guy has all the control kind of thing. And there's some good stuff about that, about not being 100% reliant on somebody, but it's coming from a place of hurt and brokenness and distrust and all of that. It's not just like good advice. It's keep yourself guarded and not completely 100% give yourself to somebody, right? But the grandfather's not allowed to smoke because he's on oxygen and it could kill him. The mom, who is a nurse, so does understand a little bit about medical stuff, is like, you tell him, look, I give you this and maybe you can't breathe. You still want it? And if he says yes, then it's yes. I'd give him one. You should give him one. He's a grown man. You give him what he wants. He's going to die. You let him die happy. And that goes for me too. Don't you tell me I can't have what I want because you're trying to make me live forever. I want to die doing the things I love. I want to be happy until the very end. And then she's telling Brianna, you want to be happy? She said, going on, marry an ugly rich man who loves you more than you love him. She nodded at the windshield. This one's not ugly, but he's got the rest of it. I just thought that was funny. Like, marry an ugly rich man who loves you more because he's going to do everything for you and never leave you. And I was like, that's hilarious. And then she says, if he asks you to marry him, say yes. Mom said, you're not getting any younger. So Brianna's telling her mom, just so you know, I probably won't ever get remarried. She pivoted to look at me like I was speaking in tongues. Why? Because it didn't end well for me? She waved me off again. You just be smart about it. You make him give you an expensive ring. You put your name on everything, all his property. Then if he leaves you, you take his house. Mama, what? That's what I did with Gil. That's her new husband. It's how I know he's not going to leave me. He can't afford it. Gil is obsessed with you and couldn't live without you, I said. And if he did, he'd do it without his house. She shrugged. She's like, I love the mom. I love the parents in this book. Like Jacob's parents and Rosa, Brianna's mom. They're hilarious. So I am off to go for a spa massage thing. I'm excited. I'm still tabbing up here like crazy. And actually ran out of tabs for some of the colors, so I gotta go find something close to match it with. I'm off and I will update when I've read some more. So it's 8 p.m. I'm finally sitting down, or lying down in this case, to read. The weather is somewhat nice right now. It was supposed to be pretty warm this weekend, like in the mid to high 20s, which is pretty good for September. And it's been smoky. I don't know where the fires are coming from, where they're located, what's going on. That's really annoying. Our summer has been hot, fire and smoke, rain, hot, more smoke, more fire. And then it's been okay the past few weeks, and now smoke again. So that's frustrating. I want to finish this book. I keep telling myself I'm going to finish this book today, like 3 days in a row now. So today's the day, I hope. It's 8 o'clock, the sun is setting, but it's still nice enough to actually sit out here and enjoy it. The dogs are in the back wrestling. You can't, oh, there you go. The dogs are in the back wrestling, and my husband gets home in about 40 minutes, and we're going to go gas up the vehicle and take the dogs to the dog park. Yeah, that's my only plans. So let's get reading. I am loving this so much, and I'm glad to finally get to this series and read these 3 books, but also like sad that it's gonna be ending soon and I'm gonna have to go into other books. It's one of those, like, I don't want it to end, but it has taken me, like, I started reading Part of Your World in July and we are now into the beginning of September, so I definitely haven't rushed through these books, so that has been good. So yeah, let's get in. So I talked a little bit about this. They're all like 5 stars. If I actually like sat down and analyzed it, they probably wouldn't all technically be 5 stars, but in my heart of hearts, they're 5 stars. And it's been so long since I read them. So anyways, Part of Your World, I did not vlog quite as much as I was reading it, just because it was audiobook, and then I started the vlog after I completely finished this one. So I talked about this one a little bit, and then wrapping up, hold on, I just bought a bunch of books. My Reading Like Katie Colson experiment vlog here ended up with lots of tabbing. You see all that? Lots of annotating. It was lots of fun. So of course I read Yours Truly and then Yours for the Summer. This is the first book I ever bought, and then realized it's kind of, they're companion novels. You don't have to read them in order. You can read them in whatever order you want, but I want to read them in order. So you can see I really need to go back and tab this one. It's not that I liked it any less than these two. This is just how it worked out with my filming. Yeah, let's wrap these up. What did I like about these books? So this one, I talked about how Alexis wasn't raised in a home that taught her basic domestic skills or anything like that. And Daniel helped her with that stuff while also acknowledging and appreciating what she was good at and not making her feel bad for not being taught things. Like, it's not her fault her parents didn't teach her how to keep house. Yeah, I just loved those conversations in this. And then we talk about Yours Truly, and this deals with our main female character, Brianna, who is the best friend of Alexis in the first book. She is also an ER doctor, and at the beginning of this book, she's separated from her husband, and it's a couple of weeks or days away from her divorce being finalized. It's a very difficult situation. Like, I mean, divorce is never a happy, pleasant thing, right? Even if you're getting out of the worst situation of your life. Like with Alexis in here, she isn't getting divorced, but she's separating from someone she's been with for like 10 years. And he was a narcissist and manipulative and gaslighting her and all this stuff. He was emotionally abusive. It was a really bad situation, but it's still hard to disentangle your life from somebody you've been with for so long and you've given so much of yourself to. And she's also dealing with, because he was gaslighting her and everything, she has a hard time trusting herself, right? So she's working through all of that. So even though she's leaving a bad situation, it's still hard to separate your life from somebody you've been with for so long. In Yours Truly, our main character, Brianna. Anyways, somebody must be outside. All these dogs don't belong to us. They're just stuck with us for the time being while we watch them. Peach. You can't see Peaches. She's our dog. Can you guys not fight right in front of me? Hi. Brianna's separating from her husband. They're getting divorced because her husband was actually in love with her friend. So she is working through all of that. And she's also up for promotion because at the end of Part of Your World, Brianna leaves. So now there's this vacancy there and she's up for promotion. But the boss overseeing the people in the ER has hired this new doctor, Jacob, and he's also up for the promotion. And obviously, Bree is upset about that because it's like this new guy from this other city, this other hospital comes in and he's up for the same job. I've been here for years and blah, blah, blah. And there's this whole thing going on there. So there's that tension there, of course. So she's dealing with trying to work hard to get this job and prove that she is the right candidate for the job while also dealing with this divorce. And then Jacob comes in and he left his job because his ex-girlfriend is dating and now engaged to his brother. So that's complicated all on its own. And they were just not a good fit. And it's weird, you're like, why is she dating his brother? Isn't that really uncomfortable and whatever? And it is awkward and weird, but you can just tell that they are a better fit together. And Jacob deals with very extreme social anxiety in this book. So I learned a lot about anxiety just reading this. I don't know how much, I was going to say Allie Hazelwood because she blurbed it at the bottom. I don't know how much Abby Jimenez knows about these topics that she's talking about. She writes about them as if she knows quite a lot about them. Whether or not she has personal experience with it, or if she has just done a lot of research on it or not, I don't know. But it seems pretty authentic and real and seems like it makes sense that what she's talking about is true, are facts. And there's actually a scene in here where he talks about watching Bree's favorite TV show. I can't remember what it is. It's like Schitt's Creek or something like that. And he's like, I'm going to watch it for her because it'll give us something to talk about, some common ground to talk about. But he's like, I never watch shows, like new shows. I always fall back to my old favorites because there's no surprises in them. I already know what's going to happen, and it's like a comfort thing. And he doesn't like watching new shows where he doesn't know what's going to happen at the end, and it just really works up his anxiety and everything. And my brother, as somebody who cannot personally diagnose anybody, and my brother who has never been diagnosed, he has anxiety. And I know somebody else who is diagnosed with pretty severe anxiety and has taken medication and everything. And my brother and our friend of ours, they both tend to rewatch the same shows over and over and over and over again. And I get it. Like, me and my husband just finished watching The Office for the second time. We watched, not just recently, within the last couple of years though, we rewatched Arrested Development. We were watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, we just finished somewhat recently as rewatches. And I've watched Friends more than once. Community, we just finally finished watching Community for the second time. And there is a time and place, obviously, for rewatching favorite shows and movies and rereading favorite books and stuff. And it is comforting, but I also like something new. So there is something to be said for rewatching, re-listening, rereading favorites and comfort shows and stuff. But he talks about in here, like, it's a comfort to him because it doesn't trigger his anxiety. And I was like, that must be why my brother and our friend are always constantly like rewatching the same things. We're like, oh yeah, we've seen Community all the way through, beginning to end twice. And my friend has seen it like 10 times all the way through. And so it really gave me an insight to the people in my own life who deal with anxiety and a little bit more empathy there of like why they're constantly rewatching the same things, which, I mean, that doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't matter that they want to keep rewatching the same things, but understanding if I'm like, let's watch this, and they're like, no, I'd rather watch this, I can kind of understand why a little bit more. Not that they obviously never watch new things, of course they do, but just the comfort of rewatching something so many times. And in this, Jacob talks about watching her favorite show, even though she may never know that he went through that, of watching even like one season of it. He wasn't doing it to get praise or recognition. He wasn't going up to Brie and being like, hey, I watched your favorite show and blah, 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 let's talk about it. He just wanted to be able, if she mentioned something or referenced something from the show, he would get it. And he put aside his own discomfort for her without getting like the accolades of doing it. And I just really love that. It was so sweet. And I love that Brie understood, like when he explained something to her, she understood his anxiety and made accommodations for him. Like when she goes to stay at the B&B that Daniel owns in the first book, Brie goes to visit her friend Lexi from the first book, Alexis. She just needs a break. She needs to see her friend. So she goes to the B&B and then Jacob's like, I'm coming after you, because it's kind of that like third act breakup kind of timing. And he's like, I'm coming after you. And she's like, I need to go take pictures of the driveway. And she goes out there and takes pictures of the driveway in front of the B&B. And she texts Jacob the pictures and says, you can park here. There's going to be Brianna's vehicle, which is this kind of vehicle. There's going to be Daniel's truck here. Daniel has a dog. He's very friendly. He might jump up on you, but he has a dog. And he also has a dog in this. But yeah, the dog's very friendly. If you come, you can park here. Breakfast is at this time. Alexis and Daniel will be here with us, but we will have this room. Blah, 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 and just explains everything. So even though she's so mad at him right now and they're not communicating, there's some miscommunication there. They're not getting along 100%, and she still goes out of her way to make him comfortable while he's coming to not confront her, but just have this conversation with her and be like, okay, let's talk, let's work this out. I want to date you. I like you. Let's work this out. So she's going out of her way to make him feel comfortable, something that his ex never did for him. And at first you kind of hate his ex, or at least I did. And you're kind of like, she's a B. You just don't like her. And then you realize it's not that she is a bad person. She was not good for him. And yeah, she could have made more accommodations for his anxiety, but she just didn't get it. She was clueless. She was not understanding it. And she wanted to, like, she invited him to this busy bar to sit down with her and his brother to be like, yeah, we're getting married. And he's like, I don't like the busy bar. I don't like this. I don't like that. She knows I hate this place, all this stuff, but she never understood it. She never accommodated him by picking a different restaurant or saying, like, giving him details the way that Brie gives him details when he's going to a place he's unfamiliar with. So she just wasn't good for him and good for people with anxiety. She was clueless. She didn't get it, but she's not a bad person. And they do have a really good, like, closure kind of conversation in this before the wedding. I think it's the engagement party, and he does have a really good conversation with her, and they do talk about loving each other but not more like brother and sister, more like friends, and now she's going to be his sister-in-law, and that's the kind of love that they have for each other, but they're no longer in love with each other or anything. And it's a really good moment in the book for him and her, not so much for Bree, who kind of overhears the conversation just enough to feel like they are in love, but that's the conflict in it. There's one more thing I wanted to say about this book. Oh, yours truly, they start writing letters to each other, and I was like, that is so precious. He has social anxiety. He doesn't even know Bree. This is the very beginning of the book when he's just started working at the hospital. They have a bit of a run-in with each other, and you can really hear those tabs. They have a bit of a run-in with each other, and he's anxious, and he doesn't know how to fix this problem that he's had with her, this run-in, and he writes her a letter because it's so much easier. And I know what that's like too, to get your thoughts out. It's easier for me to do it in front of this camera where I know I can say whatever I want and then go and edit out all the junk, and I can reword it 100 times and edit out the ones that didn't work. And that's what I like about letter writing as well. It's different than sitting across from somebody and you have no edit. You can't take back what you said, right? You said what you said and you're stumbling over your words, whatever. You can't erase it in person. So them just writing letters together was like the sweetest thing ever. And I absolutely loved it and adored it. And me and my husband used to do that with each other when we were first started dating, and it was a little bit long distance at times and stuff. And me and my friends in high school would write to each other, and it's so wholesome and lovely, and I really love it in this day and age of text messaging. And always, like, me and my friend now, she sends me so many reels and memes and stuff, and they're hilarious, they're funny, they're sweet, they're kind, whatever. It's not that I don't like the reels, and it's not that I don't send them back to her or send her memes. It's just a different form of communication now versus actually sitting down, pen to paper, writing. Even like typing out an email or even typing out a letter and printing it off and sending it, there's a different act with actually physically writing. It's just different, and I just absolutely adored that in here. Another thing I adored about Abby Jimenez that she does in Just for the Summer, the premise of this book is that they are cursed. Emma, every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up. But it turns out she's not the only one afflicted with this condition. His name is Justin. They date somebody, they break up, that person goes on to find the love of their life and get like engaged like 2 weeks later. His Reddit thread about being love's good luck charm has gone viral. Now the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. So they're trying to set some ground rules for this breaking of the curse. And it's like, how many dates do you normally go on with this guy? Do you guys kiss? Does it get more intimate? What's the rule that happens when you date these people when they eventually go and find somebody else after you break up? And she's like, well, typically we go on 4 dates. We do this, we do that. There's sometimes a kiss. It doesn't always get physically intimate though, beyond just like a goodnight kiss or whatever. It doesn't have to involve sex for them to go and find somebody else the next time. So he's like, okay, let's set the ground rules and everything. And then he sends her, what's the word I'm thinking of? He sends her multiple choice surveys. Your date with Justin. And it was multiple choice. Preferred time of day for a date. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. What activities interest you? Hiking, dinner at a movie, museum or aquarium, day on the lake, escape room. Wild card, Justin's choice. Other, food preferences, Thai, American, barbecue, vegetarian or vegan. Fanciness level, pajamas, activewear, casual, James Bond movie. I like that one. Preferred greeting, contactless, Victorian greeting, small curtsy and a slight nod. I think I'd pick that one, that'd be hilarious. Handshake, hug, air kiss, high five. Preferred mode of transportation, Justin picks me up, transport myself. And then at the end, it says July 28th, 11 a.m. Please join Justin at the address you provided, blah, 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 with this like little invite. And then after the date, he has like a follow-up survey to find out how it went. And I thought that was just like the cutest, sweetest thing ever. I was like squealing. I was like, if I was back in the dating world, I'd want a guy to do this because this is just hilarious. It's funny, it's cute, but it's also very considerate. He's like, what time of day do you want to go out? Do you want to go for breakfast? Do you want to go for lunch? Right? So she can prepare. I don't want a guy to just be like, it's a surprise and they pick me up and I don't know how to dress. Like, I'm in this dress right now and you're going to go take me like 4-wheeling on quads or on a skidoo or something. This isn't appropriate for that, right? You want to take me out to a fancy dinner and I'm wearing active wear. that's not appropriate. I need to know things like, if you're taking me hiking, I'm not gonna wear high heels or flip-flops. I'm gonna wear shoes, at least running shoes or something, right? I'm gonna be dressed more appropriately. Are you taking me swimming? Maybe I don't spend an hour on hair and makeup because it's all just gonna get washed away, right? So I love this idea of like, we're preparing for lunch or dinner, hiking, escape room, wild card. So you can just let the person choose. Or you could say like, wild card, but maybe you absolutely hate heights, so please don't take me skydiving or something, right? Food preferences, or like I have peanut allergies. So that's not usually a problem with dinner food, but just something to consider like when ordering dessert or something. Fanciness level, so you know how to dress. The preferred greeting is great because it's always so awkward. Like, do I shake your hand? Do I go in for a hug? Do I give like a little peck on the cheek? It's so awkward, especially because they've never met before. They're going on these dates. So I just thought that was so sweet and considerate. And I just absolutely loved it. I love Justin in this. Now, I know for a fact that Katie read this and she had a hard time with it because Justin is her brother and he's the love interest in this. So that's kind of funny. But it didn't bother me because he's not my brother. That's not my brother's name. So I thought that was kind of funny. The hard topics that Abby Jimenez deals with in this is Emma's toxic mother shows up and she is very, very toxic. I think she's undiagnosed, like bipolar manic depressive, or one or both of those things. And it's undiagnosed, so it's untreated. And Neil shows back up in this, which is really interesting. And it's kind of interesting to see how much he's grown from part of your world to just for the summer. And Abby Jimenez doesn't just make it happily ever after. Neil went for counseling and now he's this perfect boyfriend and he's not narcissistic at all. No, it still felt very real and realistic with him still having growth and changing as a human being, but without it being like a miraculous cure. So I really liked that. And Justin's mom, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but there are spoilers, but something happens and Justin has to take care of his 3 younger siblings. So he's becoming like a father overnight. He's becoming the main guardian of these children. I totally forgot all about that in this book. And he's only like 20 something. He's like early or late 20s, not early 20s, but late 20s, but he's not ready to be a parent, right? So I just love the dynamics that Abby Jimenez puts in her books and the very, very difficult but real topics that she deals with, mixed with humor, mixed with best friends. I love a good friendship story, mixed with love and romance, but also dealing with the past and past bad relationships and relationships, maybe not even a bad relationship, but bad or toxic familial relationships and dealing with family and all of that junk that comes with it. I feel like these have a really good balance of cute, fun, rom-com and really, really hard, difficult topics that are very heavy. I feel like Abby Jimenez does a really good job with both of these. So I am so glad I picked these up and read like Katie Coulson for a couple months during last summer and really, really need to get back to dabbing this so bad. And then, of course, I pre-ordered the one for this year. I don't even know what it's about, who it is. I just pre-ordered it. I don't know if it's part of this 3 people or not. It doesn't look like it might be, but Say You'll Remember Me. I haven't started it yet, but I'm very excited for it. And I had to go to the mall because I accidentally pre-ordered this 3 times. My brain, it's not functioning this year. We can talk about that later. Let's just say pregnancy brain. I pre-ordered this 3 times. So I had to do 2 returns for this. So I was at the mall and she is like the author of the month that they have going at the bookstore. So these were 25% off each. Life is Too Short and the Happily Ever After playlist. And then they had the other one. I can't remember what it's called. I only wanted to spend money on 2 of them because it was like, they are normally $23.99 each and it was 25% off each of them. I didn't want to buy 3, I bought 2. So I'm excited to jump into some of her later stuff, her earlier stuff. The dog's on the cover. The other cover didn't have a dog on it, so I don't know what's up with that. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day, night, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world, whenever you're watching this. Thank you so much for being patient with me while I go through this crazy vlog that is going to end my mental sanity. It's insanity now. It's been a gong show. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you next time. Comment down below if you've read Abby Jimenez or not, if you love her books or not. Let's chat, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!